what we have is the silent phone.
It may look like a typical phone on the outside, but on the inside, it's a device that runs completely on encrypted technology. This is BLACKPHONE, a new security-focused smartphone developed by privacy communications firm Silent Circle and smartphone manufacturer Geeksphone. After months of anticipation, the device finally debuted this week at the World Mobile Congress.
BLACKPHONE is the first smartphone that is putting the security and the privacy ahead of everything else.
The phone features privacy tools like Silent Phone, Silent Text, and Silent Contact, applications that ensure only you and someone else with a compatible device can access the contents. It also boasts a Wi-Fi connection that manages greater security on public networks, and it's equipped with a special software that makes it possible to securely remote wipe your device, then facilitate its recovery.
What people want is to be able to make calls, browse internet, search the internet and so on in a private and secure way, so that they are protected from spy agencies and companies that are getting the data.
User data is something companies have a vested interest in. And that's why in a typical phone, most of your information is stored and monetized. Your data helps internet sites like Google or Facebook to sell higher quality advertising at higher prices. But oftentimes, the consumer is an unwilling participant.
What folks don't realize is how much of that privacy they've given up in exchange for very easy-to-use free services from all sorts of different internet companies.
That's Toby Weir-Jones, the manager of BLACKPHONE, and he says the device will likely appeal to a growing segment of the American public.
We think it's an important tool for anybody who is conscious of who's looking over their shoulder and whether or not they want them to look over their shoulder.
And Americans are more conscious now than ever over who may be doing the snooping. BLACKPHONE's release comes just 9 months after classified NSA documents were leaked by former government contractor Edward Snowden. The leaks brought to light surveillance programs like PRISM, in which the government collected and stored the internet communications of countless Americans. And while makers of the device say it will help users protect their information from the government's watchful eye, they admit that with a cell phone, no one's data is completely off limits.
It's not perfect. It's not NSA proof. But it's an awful lot better than the alternative of doing nothing. And it helps users realize the importance of continuing to demand even further improvements from the industry at large.
In the wake of the NSA leaks, more and more Americans have begun to demand an end to government spying, doing everything from rallying in the streets to filing lawsuits against tech companies who agreed to release the information. And now, less than a year later, it seems BLACKPHONE is answering a consumer demand for yet more protection. But that security does come with a cost. BLACKPHONE gears up to enter the market with a $629 price tag. So whether the device will translate into significant sales remains to be seen. Analysts say it'll depend on how much money the American people are willing to give up to go off the grid. In Washington, Amira David, RT.
For more on this top secret smartphone technology, RT's own Amira David joins us now. Hi, Amira.
Hi.
So this phone, I understand it is unlocked, which means any carrier, Verizon, AT&T, you can use those carriers. Of course, those companies have gone under a lot of scrutiny for not protecting their consumer privacy. So is there a conflict there for those that are going to, they're going to splurge on this?
And that's what you would think. I mean, that it would completely just undermine the entire security of the phone if they're going to be collaborating with these companies who, like you said, have come under fire for sharing users' information. So the way it works is that you can use whatever carrier you want to get your data plan or whatnot. And the neat thing about the BLACKPHONE is that it's set up so that your carrier cannot see the content nor store the content of your text messages, of your phone calls, or the keywords that you're using to search different things. So that's the beauty of the phone, and that's why it's so appealing to individuals. All of the content is masked with special encryption that pretty much goes into effect once you fire the phone on, and then there's a few apps that you need to install that's offered by Silent Circle, one of the companies behind the phone. Really, carriers are only going to be able to see sort of your information in gibberish. It's going to come through as sort of like code language that they won't be able to decipher. And so it really sort of takes your information off the black market.
Interesting. So with these revelations from Edward Snowden, people are angered that the NSA can tap into phone calls and phone logs. Could this technology really evade the NSA?
Well, that is the big question, Liz, and you know, especially with everything going on these days. And I did talk to the manager of BlackPhone about that issue. He was, you know, very upfront with me about the fact that this phone is not NSA proof, it's not government proof, and the fact of the matter is anybody with a cell phone is going to be vulnerable to hacking by the government, especially considering they have so many resources to really tap into our information. That being said, if you do have a phone like this, and as I mentioned, carriers can't see that data, that means if the government requests data from, you know, Verizon or AT&T, they won't even have your data to make available. So in that sense, you know, indirectly, you are, you know, affording yourself a little more protection.
Interesting. So as we saw in your piece there, it's over $600 a pop. Is there a big demand for it?
I think there is, especially considering how targeted, you know, the advertising is becoming these days. I don't know about you, but, you know, a few weeks ago, I was looking up, you know, Valentine's Day candy, and then the next day I'm getting, you know, a barrage of ads for engagement rings. So it's kind of a little concerning. I think people are sort of waking up and saying, oh, that's weird. You know, how did they know that I like this or I was looking for that? And so people are becoming, I guess you could say, more privacy conscious. But it's not only appealing to individuals. You know, BlackPhone tells me that they already have massive contracts in the work with Fortune top 50 companies that really want to supply this phone. They want to supply the security to their employees. And of course, as you mentioned, the sticking point probably that it's $629, which for companies isn't a lot of money, but for individuals is still a pretty penny. And BlackPhone told me that it's still less than an unlocked iPhone, but again, it's still a lot of money. So, you know, I think the phone's success is really going to depend on how much value consumers are willing to put on keeping their information secure.
Interesting. So, yeah, it looks like there is a demand for it. Is there anything else on the market like this?
Actually, it's interesting. One phone just came out. There are some other phones just like BlackPhone, although BlackPhone is sort of using the most up-to-date technology. But Boeing just released a phone also called the BlackPhone, which is why people are a little confused. They're conflating the two, thinking that they're both the same thing. It's completely separate. Boeing has developed this highly encrypted phone that's supposed to be geared particularly to the government, to government agencies, and to the companies that have contracts with the government. And the cool thing about it is that it's self-destructive, and that means that any attempt to break it open, to take the casing off, or tamper with it, it triggers these functions that basically automatically deletes the data and then makes it inoperable.
Wow, that's super high-tech sounding.
Yeah,
it sounds like something out of a thriller movie.
And something I think that us ordinary folks would love to have on our phone too.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mira. That was RT correspondent Amira David.